Come fly with us as we soar into Whitewater.
Hello and welcome to Discover Wisconsin.
Welcome to Whitewater, Wisconsin. Nestled in the southeast corner of the state near the southern portion of the Kettle Moraine State Forest, there's been activity here since it was first settled in 1837. And what better place to begin telling Whitewater's story than here at the University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Established more than 150 years ago, this campus has become the lifeblood of this city's activity.
So we try to really focus a lot on very tangible, hands-on, high-impact projects that students can get involved in that is more engaging than maybe just sitting in a lecture.
Wes and his colleagues work to infuse sustainability into a variety of areas within the university, including being efficient with campus resources, reducing their overall carbon footprint, and getting students engaged in maintaining their environment. That includes the nature preserve and surrounding acres of woodlands on the edge of the campus, as well as the campus garden.
We started the campus garden in 2013. This was part of a class project that was initiated by an advisor on campus. So he was really interested in trying to connect his students to local food issues and felt like the garden and donation to the food pantry would be the way to connect those. Our office agreed as partners to help manage the space. For the last couple of years, it's been almost entirely student-run. So we've been able to really have a significant impact, over 20,000 pounds of produce donated within the last 6-7 years. And then it's a great way for students to learn firsthand what different pests look like, how to deal with different issues. I think when you read the news, it really becomes kind of demoralizing to think about the future, and students start to lose hope in some of that. Sustainability seeks solutions to some of those environmental problems and is more action-oriented. We can encourage our students to take on projects or initiatives that respond to the environmental challenges of tomorrow and really learn how to manage projects and respond to these types of issues in a proactive way.
The arts have also grown here at the university. Over at Barnett Theater, the students put on their rendition of Shakespeare's Twelfth Night.
Mistress mine, where are you roaming? Oh, stay.
I am a BFA theater performance major here, and I think with all of the skills that I'm learning, I'm really excited to be able to pursue theater after college.
Come, sir, you peevishly threw it to her.
For as long as I've been doing it, I've found it to be such an amazing cathartic feeling for me. I personally suffer with anxiety, and being able to abandon Corey for a little bit and just get solely kind of immersed in their life and their feelings and their thoughts and movements is so good for me.
And it's out here on the gridiron where these Whitewater Warhawks work hard to show their passion for their city.
It's kind of what we call lacrosse week, so it's a big week for us. Having this win and playing like the way we did is definitely huge for us.
You scored that last touchdown for us too.
I did.
Way to go!
Thank you.
How'd that
feel? It was amazing. It was a great feeling. As soon as they put me in, that was all on my mind. I wanted to be that spark and get us going.
We're down 10-0. We knew we had to step up. We never give up, and that's something I love about this team. And we knew lacrosse was going to be really good. And so as this game continued to go on, I said this is going to be a dogfight throughout the whole game, and this is one you'll never forget.
Plan your adventures in every corner of our state by watching Discover Wisconsin anytime, anywhere. Coming up, I'll be trying something I've never done before, and Whitewater is the only place in the state you can do it. We're back in Whitewater at the Twin Oaks Airport.
Today was marvelous. A little bit of texture down low in the air. It wasn't baby butt smooth all the way up, but I could not have chosen better conditions for a a discovery flight to show actually what this can be like.
Danny Lang started hang gliding back in 1979, towing behind a motorboat in a ski club on Castle Rock Lake. Today, he's giving me a very new perspective on Whitewater.
We don't have a mountain here. We can just drive up on top and set up and jump off. We need a tow plane, and we need a pilot for the hang glider.
Okay.
My job as the pilot, or anybody's job towing a hang glider, is to stay behind the airplane. We put the wheels, the main gear, right on the horizon and try to keep it there. Don't get too high, don't get too low, and just stay in a nice, comfortable position and enjoy the ride up as best we can. Once you can reach out and release the plane, he goes one way, we go the other way, and when we're on our own, now that freedom kicks in. Your mind is going 100 miles an hour, but you must relax. When you're trying to stay up, it's light touch, shallow turns. Sharing this experience with a passenger or a student is one of the highs I get in this sport, introducing people to what it's like to fly like a bird. Get over the city, or the edge of the city, see the college, see the university, see the lakes around, see the green. This is about the greenest it'll ever get this course of the summer, and it's a marvelous view up there with everything shades of green.
For a great view from the ground, Whitewater has two big lakes just south of the Kettle Moraine State Forest that are surrounded by scenic trails. And there's more than one way to enjoy the scenery of this area. When it comes to biking in this community, Quiet Hut Sports has been a staple here since 1973.
One of my passions really is bicycles, and particularly vintage bikes. Bike repair is for me, actually more fun than assembling a new bike. And sometimes I don't get the highest quality bike in here to repair, and it's more of a challenge to make something that's very inexpensive work properly. I do my best and learn a lot of tricks over the years. I do a lot of wheel truing. Truing is adjusting the spokes. By adjusting the tensions, you can make the rim run straight and true. That's probably the most difficult thing in bike repair to do is learning how to build a wheel. We have some great trails in the area, not only in the Kettle Moraine, but also on the south edge of Whitewater Lake.
With all the trails combined, there's almost 50 miles of off-road trail available here in the southern Kettle Moraine. I've lived in Whitewater my whole life, and I've been riding here since the mid to late 80s. Mountain biking became more and more popular here in the 90s, so this became a designated bike trail. I was an avid mountain biker. This trail system here, just hundreds of miles of trail time. I know every rock and every corner. I can ride everything in my sleep.
Want to get to know Whitewater as well as this guy? Head to discoverwisconsin.com where you'll find a free itinerary for your trip to the city. Eric feasts on some local food when we come back.
Welcome back to downtown Whitewater.
So I started the Black Sheep a year out of college here in Whitewater. I found this spot, and I took this spot and turned it into a restaurant. It was a meat market at the time. We ripped out everything that was on the inside of it. And the cool thing about just graduating Whitewater was I told all my friends they had to come help. So I exchanged cheap food for cheap labor, and we built the benches and the tables and everything mostly out of materials that we found in the building.
You won't find another farm-to-table restaurant quite like the Black Sheep, and that's exactly what Tyler has made this place all about, embracing the difference to stay as local as possible with his food.
The name came from the idea that I met with vendor after vendor, and they said, your idea won't work. Nobody wants misshapen vegetables. Nobody wants you to maybe run out of something because it's local, or two cuts might be a slightly different size. And I said, you know what? We're gonna do what we want. And we decided we were gonna be the black sheep of restaurants. If it wasn't what I cared about, then what was the point of doing it? After 7 years, it's crazy to think that we've literally created probably thousands of dishes. The exciting part about being farm to table is we have an ever-growing opportunity to try new things. But the challenge is it's a tough industry, and so part of changing our menu is the fact that we lose farmers every year because of the amount of labor and energy and time that goes into local food. There's a few items that have managed to make it through the test of the time, and one of those is lamb ravioli. You can't have the name the Black Sheep and not have at least one lamb item on every menu. We use some local lamb from Pin Oak Ridge Farms. We saute that up with some onions and some herbs, and then we roll that in a little pasta dough, which is a blend of semolina flour and then a little bit of actually a rye flour from up in Lone Rock. I'm just crazy enough to believe that we can make a difference and we can bring people out to see this stuff. And I'm lucky enough to have a staff that's just crazy enough to follow me on the journey.
Just outside the downtown resides another farm-to-table experience, except it's much more than that.
I was born and raised on this farm. I farm about 1,200 acres, and the fuzzy pig is really what I do on the side.
Talk about a side project. Dick built this place from the ground up himself and continues to expand.
When I build things, I try to do things different than you see anywhere else. It's kind of really out of the box. It'd be easier to tell you what we don't have than what we do. On the same property, we took the house and turned it into a restaurant bar. It's called the Kraus House. My chef does as many things that you don't see around town, so he's constantly changing the menu, and it's a different look.
Want to see our team in action from behind the camera? Follow Discover Wisconsin on Instagram for photos and more. Whitewater or Second Salem. Things are about to get spooky next on Discover Wisconsin. Discover Wisconsin is back in Second Salem. Just down the street from the Black Sheep and Quiet Hut Sports is a brewing company and gastropub that has fully embodied Whitewater's past.
Here you go, sir.
Thank you, Chris. So I know I ordered it, but tell me more about this tart cherry wheat fruit ale.
The tart cherry is a one-off that I recently did. We slowly started expanding our brewery, and it's given me the opportunity to get a little diverse and do unique things. So this is a slightly kettle-soured wheat base that we added Door County cherry to.
I can sense a little sour in there. It's really, really good.
Door County cherries, they're tough to beat.
Can't go wrong with Door County cherries in a beer. So you brew all your beer here on site?
Correct. So a lot of my traditional styles, I will use flavors, adjuncts, hops, malts, cinnamon, you know, different honey, different profiles, but I use them as accent pieces. I want to taste the beer. I want to taste the different grains. I want to taste the maltiness. I want to see what the yeast did to it. I don't want it masked by sugars and heavy juices and things like that.
Not only does Chris make some tasty brews, but the brews themselves are each creatively named after a different story from the area.
So you said you started as a home brewer. You know, this is a tough business regardless. What motivates you? What's your passion for doing this?
I enjoy talking with customers. I enjoy having events. I enjoy telling the stories. People come from out of town. We've heard this story. We have this legend. I grew up by Bray Road. My grandma lives on Bray Road, and they're just excited. That's where my passion has become. I really enjoy talking to the people now. Come enjoy the experience, learn the stories, have a great beer, and then while you're here, have some awesome cheese curds and a great burger while you're at it.
Don't mind if I do. Before leaving Second Salem, I grabbed another beer and sat down with Dave Salsa, who's experienced a lot over his lifetime in Whitewater.
So Dave, Second Salem is kind of an unofficial title for Whitewater. It's an official title for a brewery here. But what makes Whitewater truly a Second Salem kind of town?
It's a good question. If you go back in time, you'll see that Whitewater was kind of the mecca for spiritualists. So witchcraft seemed to be pretty prevalent here. When I was a student here in the 70s, we would see witches doing their thing in the parks and in the cemeteries.
So you observed this?
I observed this. There's still witchcraft going on here. Up in the cemetery, you'll see circles and pentagrams laid out in feathers and stones. You'll see pentagrams scratched on headstones. Mary Worth, the witch, was in a crypt here, but later on, when the crypt was broken into, bones of the departed were rearranged. That maybe they were looking for her bones to resurrect her. We have had a few sightings of a woman at night in the cemetery. I've seen her just about at dusk. She stopped in front of me, turned and said something. She had a little nasty look on her face. I had someone else come to me and said, I heard you saw something in the cemetery. And I said, yeah. I said, you tell me what you saw. And he described exactly the same person.
I'm supposed to go on Hillside Cemetery around dusk today. You're freaking me out, Dave.
Yeah, you might see her. You know, you'll know it if you see her. There is no mistaking who it is.
Okay.
Every October, the Whitewater Chamber of Commerce and the Historical Society come together to put on the Spirit Tour. Groups head out into the night to investigate the haunted spots of Whitewater's history. It kicks off here, back at the Fuzzy Pig, and begins with a presentation from Carol Cartwright, one of the local historians who leads the tour.
What I'm most interested in as a historian is the facts behind the legends, which is that in Whitewater between 1889 and about 1939, we had the Morris Pratt Institute here. It started out as a location or a temple for spiritualist practices and later became a school to train spiritualists. A spiritualist is someone who primarily communicates with spirits, communicates with the dead for specific reasons. The School for Spiritualism was really a one of a kind. It was the only known school that was ever developed for the spiritualists. And spiritualism pretty much died out. It still exists today at a very small level, but it became much less popular after 1930.
By the time we'd made it to the Water Tower, or the Witch's Tower, there was no denying that phenomenon and the clear sense of belief that everyone on the tour was experiencing. Whitewater is a community that embraces the oddities and stays true to itself and its history. From a thriving university that ignites this city with activity, to innovative restaurants and sports that you won't find anywhere else in the state. Whether it comes down to fact or folklore, it's clear that there are so many mysteries worth exploring in Whitewater's past, if you're willing to uncover what you might find. So, do you think you believe? Why don't you come find out for yourself?
Stream Discover Wisconsin anywhere, anytime. Continue the adventure on Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, Smart TV, Chromecast, and discoverwisconsin.com.